Hello, and welcome to the 7th episode of the 411. I'm Trip Horsey.
And I'm Morgan Zimmerman. First, Steven Nurnberg and Hayden Folk bring us a story about athletes in the classroom.
Glendale students are well known for achieving in academics and athletics, but balancing the two can be a challenge.
Y'all ready for this?
So I get about 15 hours of homework a week.
Fair amount of homework, but the thing is with being in debate and everything, there's always workload to do, there's always practice to do, and that goes along with athletics as well.
I'm going to have to go with about an hour or two every day, so probably close to 10 hours a week, I'd say.
On average, I get about like an hour of homework a week. Like 2 hours a night.
Probably about like 1 to 2 hours, so not that bad.
I'd probably say close to about 15 hours maybe.
Not that much because I made my first semester a lot easier since I know I had tennis season, but next semester is going to be a lot harder.
I'd say probably per night, an hour and a half roughly. In practices, we practice 3 hours a day after school, so it doesn't leave very much time to do homework. And then days of a game, most of the time our bus rides are short or you don't really get much work done on the bus, so I don't really like it.
You know, doing athletics is a commitment outside of school. School comes first, so you just kind of have to, know that homework's going to come, stuff like that.
It's definitely challenging because I'm trying to focus on my athletics and then I also have homework, and so I end up going to bed really late that night and it makes me really tired.
I mean, it's a burden. We all had just tough through it.
I think that if you have your priorities straight, it's not hard to excel in both athletics and academics. You just kind of have to have your head on straight that you're going to have a lot of stuff to do.
I really want to put all my focus and energy into my swimming, but then again I have to do hours of homework and really study hard to get good grades because I want to excel in both.
No, you can strive for both. It's just whether you want to put in the work.
Yeah, definitely. Just because I play on the soccer team in St. Louis, so I go once a week for training and then usually on the weekends. So it's hard to keep up with soccer and school all at once.
Most of the teachers are really nice and they let me stay after school some days and make up the work I'm not learning and stuff like that.
Yes, sometimes you just got to work your teachers, you got to be really nice, and you'll get out of it sometimes.
I honestly haven't had enough homework recently to have my teachers give me leeway on game days, and all of our games have been home and I can normally manage that.
No, they do not. They say get it done and turn it in tomorrow.
I think athletes especially are held to a higher standard, so when it comes to work and athletics, I think we're all held to a higher standard.
Academics first. I know we have a lot of students that are really involved and really passionate about their athletics and their activities. If you have time between school and practice, get your homework, get your studying done then. If not then do it right when you get home, so that way you're always staying on top of it.
Signing off from the 4-on-1, this is Hayden Folk and Steven Nurnberg.
Interested in fantasy football? Nick Moore, Nathan Berksaller, and Ross Harbaugh show us how to participate.
Are you a football fan, not satisfied with just watching football games? If you're looking to increase the entertainment value out of watching NFL football games, then you should check out fantasy football. We checked in with fantasy football's best to figure out more.
Doing fantasy football for about 3 years now.
I've been playing fantasy football for 3 years. Yeah.
I started playing fantasy football my freshman year.
Okay, what I like is when you can draft somebody and the points are not always the same every week. It can always be different, and you can lose by 1 point or 2 points based on how somebody plays. So it's pretty cool.
I like fantasy football because it's a good way to compete with all my friends and try and prove that I know more about the NFL than they do?
Well, for me, fantasy football is fun because I'm a huge sports fan. Pretty much any sport, basketball, football, soccer. I mean, I grew up playing sports, and it's just kind of a fun way to, watch football games.
Fantasy football is an easy, fun way to watch football and compete with your friends, but there is a lot of strategy that goes into it.
Well, for people that don't know what fantasy football is or how it works or anything like that, pretty much it's a fantasy league. It's not, for real or anything like that. But pretty much there's a draft. Each league, whenever you create your league, will have a draft. The draft order, you can set it up. It can be random, whatever. And you draft your players. Normally on a team, you have, for starting your lineup, you have your quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex. A flex can either be a tight end, a wide receiver, or a running back. And then you also have a tight end slot, and a defense, and a kicker, and then you have 8 bench players.
The biggest problem with fantasy football is if someone on your fantasy team is playing for the team against the home team, like say I'm a Chiefs fan, and the Chiefs are playing the Broncos, but I have Peyton Manning on my fantasy team, I'm going to want Peyton Manning to do really well, which is kind of counterproductive because that would result in the Broncos beating the Chiefs.
You don't have to be a fan to play fantasy football, but if you are, then you should check it out.
Like literally everybody. Like even if you're in basketball or soccer or football, it's still pretty fun. Everybody should do it.
Yeah, true football fans do fantasy football.
Fantasy football definitely, me individually, makes me want to watch a lot more football because I want to see how my players are doing and how their team is doing. So I think definitely that it would help. That makes a lot of other people want to watch football too.
You actually start rooting for people, and you want them to do good, and you want some other people to do bad, and so it's fun. Yeah.
Signing out for the 411. This is Ross Harbach,
Nathan Bergstaller, and Nick Moore.
George Timpson and Olivia Wolfram tell us how big of a role social media plays in our lives.
With social media playing such a large part in teenage lives, there is no question it has its fair share of consequences.
There's a lot of pressure with social media these days because your life is on display all the time. So as a teenager, even as an adult, but as a teenager in particular, a lot of kids are really using their phones a lot. And their phones are a means of communicating with each other and accessing information from the rest of the world. And so because of that, we have a lot of information that's at our fingertips. Sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not great because there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with that. When we talk about emotionally, it's more apparent now if somebody's not invited to something that everybody else is, or wasn't included, or was excluded. Or, there are things where you'll see date hate, or to be honest, and kids oftentimes put themselves out there only to be rejected or not to get the status or the number they think they should get from their peers. And when somebody rates you as a 7 and you think, why would I be a 7? It brings up a lot of emotional stuff and questions about what's good about you and maybe what you think maybe isn't or somebody else might think, and it can really impact emotionally how you feel about yourself.
Some of Glendale students share their views on social media.
I'm going to have to say I don't like social media just because it can cause lots of drama between people, and this becomes an obsession with some people.
I am probably on social media at least 3 or 4 times a day.
I am on social media every chance I get. I am on social media every single day.
About every hour of my life, honestly, besides the times that I'm sleeping.
Social media has proven itself to be very addictive with not a lot of positive benefits. Society's desire to constantly obtain new information may be its biggest shortcoming. Signing out for the 411 Glendale, this is Olivia Wolfram and George Timpson.
Glendale's quarterback Alex Austin achieved a big accomplishment. Sabrina Fusek and Paige Ledgerwood tell us more about it.
Glendale quarterback Alex Austin has been named Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row and is currently leading the nation in passing yards.
The nation in passing yards is not all. You can't put that all on me. It's our offense. It's our 5-wide system. It's the coaches. It's the receivers being in the right spot. It's the running the right routes. It's catching the balls, making plays, getting upfield. I mean, it can't be all me.
Alex is a great quarterback. He shows good leadership on and off the field, and he's definitely someone I want to associate myself with. And I just love his demeanor, and I love the way he plays.
You can be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You can talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a man.
I think Alex is he's been instrumental in our progress as a team just because of his leadership abilities and the way he carries himself on and off the field.
Player of the Week to me is a great honor that I cannot accomplish without obviously my line blocking for me and the receivers catching the ball and getting upfield for how many yards they do.
Don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you go find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
I'm very proud of my brother for being Player of the Week. He earns it. Most definitely, he works hard.
He is the best quarterback in the nation. Stats show it. Nicknames going around is that he is no longer Johnny Football, but it is Alex Football or Austin Football. So whatever you want to call him, but he's hands down best in the nation in the high school, and he's going to do some successful things in life.
I think right now improvements he could make is just to continue being a leader. I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything I would change about him or that he could do at this point. I just wish we had him for another year or so in this type of offense and just to see the success that he'd have as a quarterback.
Cause you're born with the first rain. And the world's gonna know your name.
Favorite part about being quarterback is the leadership aspect. I mean, it's people are expecting you to do more, and I kind of feel like the extra pressure is what I need to do as much as I do on the field. It's bossing everybody around sometimes. It's motivating people when they're down, and it's keeping people excited and ready to play the next game.
And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can go the distance, you can run the
Tune in next week for our fall special. Signing out for the 411, I'm Morgan Zimmerman.
And I'm Trip Horsey.